Protect your peace. Stop telling everyone what's going on in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a quiet kind of power that comes when you stop broadcasting every detail of your journey to the world. We live in the time where sharing has become second nature. We share what we eat, where we go, what we dream, and sometimes even what breaks our hearts. But let me tell you something I had to learn the hard way. Not everyone who hears your story deserves a seat in your life. You see, when you speak your plans too soon, you open them up to energy that isn't always rooting for you. Some people will smile to your face and pray for your downfall behind your back. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your growth reminds them of their stillness. So today, I want you to know this. It's okay to be private. It's okay to keep your healing to yourself. Your dreams don't need an audience. They need discipline, consistency, and silence. Because sometimes the most powerful moves are made in silence, and when the results speak, let them be loud enough to silence every doubt or protect your peace. Guard your vision, and remember, your life is sacred and not everyone is qualified to hold a piece of it. So there comes a point in your life when you start to realize that not everyone around you is genuinely happy for you. Not everyone clapping is clapping out of love. Some are clapping because they want to stay close enough to see you stumble. Some are listening, not to support you, but to report you. And that realization, though uncomfortable, is one of the most liberating truths you can ever embrace. When you're full of light, full of hope, full of dreams that you're ready to birth into the world, you naturally want to share them. That's human. We want to be seen. We want to be understood. We want someone to look at what we're building and say, "I'm proud of you." But the truth is, not every ear that hears your story will understand your heart. Not every person is equipped to hold your vulnerability with care, and that is not your fault. It just means you're pouring into cups that were never meant to hold your truth. There is power in being selective with your voice, power in knowing when to speak and when to be still. Because the more you talk, the more you open yourself to interpretation. And the thing about people is, they will interpret you through their own lens of insecurity, fear, or comparison. You may say, "I'm starting a new business," and they'll hear, "She thinks she's better than us." You may say, "I'm working on myself," and they'll take it as a judgment against their own choices. And suddenly, without warning, you find yourself explaining your joy, defending your ambition, and shrinking your light to make others comfortable. You don't owe anyone that. You don't owe the world your process. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing to grow, to rest, to start over, or to dream bigger. You are allowed to hold sacred what is sacred to you. Every moment of healing, every step forward, every fragile beginning, you can protect that. But because there are people who thrive on chaos. People who pretend to care but quietly collect your details to use them as conversation starters in rooms you'll never enter. There are people who will nod while you speak. But behind that polite smile is the weight of resentment, because something in you reminds them of something they gave up on. And the more you speak, the more ammunition you give them to misunderstand you. So protect your peace like it's your home. Guard your heart like it's a garden, and only allow those who know how to walk gently through your soul. Not everyone deserves a map to your most intimate thoughts. Not everyone should know what you cry about at night or what you pray about in the morning. There is strength in privacy. There is confidence in silence. There is wisdom in keeping some chapters of your life locked away until they're complete. And let's be honest, some people aren't even listening to understand you. They're just listening to be nosy. Their curiosity isn't love, it's surveillance. And while you're speaking from a place of trust, they're listening from a place of comparison. That's not connection. That's a transaction you didn't agree to. You gave truth, and they gave back gossip. There is beauty in being unseen. There is a magic in unfolding quietly. Flowers bloom in silence. So can you. Let people wonder what you're up to. Let them speculate. Let them ask around. Meanwhile, you keep building, you keep healing, you keep becoming. Let your results tell the story. Let your peace be your reply. Let your growth be the loudest thing they hear. And when you're ready, when the foundation is firm, when the vision is no longer fragile, when your soul feels safe, you'll know exactly who is worthy of hearing your truth. Until then, don't feel guilty for choosing privacy. That's not secrecy. That's self-respect. There's something sacred about the early stages of a dream. It's tender. It's fresh. It's still shaping itself in the quiet corners of your heart. And yet so many of us rush to speak it out loud before it's ready to walk. We tell the world what we're building before we even know how tall it could stand. We post it, text it, tweet it, hoping that the excitement we feel will be mirrored back to us in applause. But what often returns is not encouragement. It's questions. It's doubt. It's silence. Or worse, it's the kind of energy that makes you start questioning yourself. There is a reason seeds are planted in darkness, not because they're meant to stay hidden forever, but because growth needs privacy. Fragile things need shelter. The early moments of a dream are the same. They don't need to be exposed to every voice, every opinion, every comment section. They need time to root deeply before they reach for the light. Talking about your goals too soon invites energy into the room that isn't always aligned with what you're building. And that energy can be subtle. It might be a look, a raised eyebrow. That's interesting, said just the wrong way. And suddenly, you're doubting something you were so sure of just an hour ago. You're rethinking your path, not because it doesn't make sense, but because someone who never walked your journey didn't understand your direction. You have to be so careful about what you let into the space between a dream and its realization. That space is sacred. It's a laboratory. It's where the testing happens. It's where you fail privately and learn quietly. It's where your passion is supposed to stretch and stumble and grow without having to explain itself. But when you put it out into the world too early, you rob yourself of that privacy. Now you're performing instead of building. You're defending instead of developing. And let me tell you, explaining your dream to someone who doesn't have the capacity to see it is like giving a blueprint to someone who only sees walls. They won't get it. And that's okay. It's not their job to get it. It's yours. It's your job to believe in it enough to protect it, to let it become strong enough to stand on its own before you bring others into the room. Some people think speaking it early makes it real, that if you say it out loud, it'll force you to stay accountable. And maybe that works for some, but for many of us, speaking it too soon doesn't make it real. It makes it vulnerable. It makes it open to winds it wasn't built to withstand yet. So they don't call you crazy. And before you know it, it's not your dream anymore. It's a watered-down version that fits inside someone else's idea of what's possible. And the saddest part, you start to believe them. You start to believe that maybe it was too much. Maybe it isn't your time. Maybe you should wait or settle or choose something safer. But deep down, you know the truth. You didn't need less ambition. You just needed more silence, more time, more protection. There's something powerful about keeping things to yourself while they grow. You get to explore without the noise. You get to fail without judgment. You get to discover what you actually want, not just what sounds good when you say it out loud. You get to own the journey, all of it, without feeling like someone else is steering it from the sidelines. When your vision is ready, when the roots are deep and the foundation is steady, it will speak for itself. It will stand tall even in the face of doubt. Because then it's not just a dream, it's a decision. It's not just hope, it's action. And no amount of outside noise can shake what's already grounded inside of you. So don't rush to share. Don't feel pressured to post. Let your silence be your strategy. Let your progress unfold quietly. Let the early stages be yours and yours alone. When it's time, you'll know. And by then, you won't need validation. You'll have something stronger. You'll have results. Force Sabia. Here's an 800-word expansion of the point, silence is power, in that same wise, emotionally resonant tone, the kind that feels like a quiet conversation with the soul, as if spoken on a softly lit stage to an audience leaning in. There is a strength, a grace, a kind of unshakable confidence that lives in silence. Not the silence that comes from fear or avoidance, but the kind that comes from knowing exactly who you are and where you're going. And realizing you don't need to prove it to anyone. That kind of silence, it's a superpower. In a world where everyone is rushing to be seen, heard, and validated, choosing to be still is a radical act. Choosing not to post every move, not to explain every decision, not to justify your path, that takes courage. Because silence is not weakness. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence. It is control. It is knowing you are in motion, even if no one else sees the road beneath your feet. We've been taught that if people don't know what we're doing, they'll forget us, that we'll be overlooked, left behind, unimportant. So we announce our every move thinking visibility equals progress. But the truth is, real power doesn't need an audience. Real power builds in private. It builds in the early mornings when no one is watching. It builds in the discipline, in the unseen effort, in the moments when you choose to keep going even when applause is nowhere to be found. There is a time to speak. There is a time to share your journey, to celebrate your wins, to inspire others. But that time comes after the work has been done. That time comes after you've built something strong enough to carry the weight of the world's opinions. Until then, your silence is your sanctuary. Your silence is your armor. Because let's be honest, not everyone who listens is listening with love. Some are listening to compete. Some are listening to copy. Some are listening to find cracks in your plan, waiting for the moment they can say, I told you so. And when you walk in silence, you take that power away. You don't give them anything to distort. You don't give them anything to interfere with. You keep your energy clean, your purpose clear, your direction protected. Silence gives you space to hear your own voice. When you stop explaining yourself to others, you start understanding yourself more deeply. You stop asking for permission and start trusting your intuition. You stop waiting for applause and start finding peace in your own progress. You don't owe everyone access to your process. You don't have to let the world weigh in on your healing, your growth, your dreams, your struggles. Because when you invite too many voices into your sacred space, it gets noisy in your head. You start to question your progress. You start to take on other people's fears as if they're your own. You start to edit your path to fit someone else's comfort level. And that's how peace begins to slip away, quietly, gradually, until one day you realize you're exhausted, not because of what you're doing, but because of who you keep letting in. Protecting your peace means learning to say no without guilt. It means trusting your intuition when it says, this conversation doesn't feel safe, or this person isn't cheering for me in their heart. It means having boundaries that aren't just spoken, they're lived. It means being okay with being misunderstood if that's the price of preserving your inner calm. You don't have to share every high or every low. You don't need to post every achievement or narrate every lesson. Some things are more powerful when they are held close, when they are nurtured in private, not because you're hiding, but because you are honoring the weight of what you're carrying. When you protect your peace, you make room for clarity. You give your mind space to think. You give your emotions space to settle. You give your soul space to speak. And in that space, you'll often find the answers you were chasing out in the noise. You'll realize that not every battle is yours to fight. Not every opinion is yours to consider. Not every story is yours to respond to. Nation, and that kind of awareness, that ability to discern where your energy belongs and where it doesn't, that is power. It's easy to confuse connection with closeness, to believe that just because someone asks, you must answer, that just because someone is curious, you must explain. But real connection doesn't demand that you lay your soul bare just to feel seen. Real connection respects your boundaries. It respects your silence. It respects your decision to keep some things just for you. And when you start living from that place, from that deeply rooted understanding that your peace is not up for negotiation, everything begins to shift. The way you speak, the way you show up, the way you love yourself. You stop engaging in drama because you don't need the distraction. You stop chasing validation because you already know your worth. You stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you because your energy is too valuable to waste. There is a version of you that exists on the other side of chaos, a version that is calm, steady, glowing from the inside out. But to meet that version, you have to get comfortable with quiet, with solitude, with being so in tune with your peace that anything or anyone that disrupts it becomes easy to walk away from. You are not difficult for protecting your peace. Special, not just meaningful, sacred. That means your story, your struggles, your growth, your becoming, they are not for casual consumption. They are not to be passed around in conversation or handled with careless hands. You were not put on this earth to explain every scar, to justify every decision, or to allow just anyone to wander through the delicate places of your heart. We live in a world that moves fast, a world that wants quick access, fast answers, constant sharing. It encourages us to be an open book, but you are not a book. You are a soul, and not every chapter needs to be read out loud, especially not to people who don't know how to listen with care. Not everyone is qualified to carry your truth. And you know what? That's not a judgment. That's wisdom. That's discernment. Because when you begin to understand the value of your journey, you stop handing it out like a flyer. You stop opening up to people just because they asked. You stop explaining the intricacies of your healing to people who've never healed themselves. Some people don't want to understand you, they want access. And that's a dangerous thing, because access without understanding leads to misunderstanding, and misunderstanding leads to misjudgment. Suddenly, your truth, the one you shared with so much honesty and vulnerability, becomes a story someone else uses against you. Not because you were wrong to feel, but because they weren't ready to hold what you gave them. You don't need to shrink your experiences into bite-sized pieces just so others can digest them. You don't need to offer up your truth to every listening ear, hoping for empathy. Some things are too sacred for that. Some parts of your life are meant to be held in soft silence, shared only with those who have earned the right to hear them. Not just by being present, but by being safe. By being still, by being the kind of soul who can hold your truth without trying to fix it, judge it, or shape it into something they're more comfortable with. And let's be honest, many of us learned the hard way. We learned by opening our hearts too soon. We learned by telling people our dreams, our wounds, our past, only to feel exposed, unsupported, or even betrayed. And that kind of pain runs deep. It makes you question whether you should have shared at all. But here's the lesson. It's not wrong to be open. It's not wrong to want to connect. It's not wrong to long for someone to see you fully. What's wrong is believing you owe that to everyone. You don't. Your story is not a stage. It's a sanctuary. And it deserves to be protected like one. There is power in being intentional about who you let into your sacred spaces. Because the truth is, some people cannot meet you at the depth you're speaking from. You're talking from your soul and they're listening with surface level ears. And then you wonder why it feels empty. Why it feels like your vulnerability got lost in translation. But it didn't get lost It just landed in the wrong place. So from now on, protect your sacred. Protect the way you speak about your past. Protect the way you talk about your healing, your growth, your faith, your process. Speak when you feel held. Speak when you feel safe. And if that moment never comes with someone, then let the silence do the talking. Let it remind you that your life is yours, that your journey is still unfolding, and that you don't owe anyone a front row seat unless they've proven they can sit there with love, with patience, and without judgment.